Hello, I'm back, bitches. Oh yeah, hello guys. I am back with another video, and yes, I'm back from. Oh God, I'm soon gonna be graduating, guys, and I'm finally going to, no longer have to deal with school. Though I'm going to be busy with getting ready for college exams. Oh God. Anyway, let's just ignore that and let's continue on. Today we're going to be talking about Hero of Remnant, ladies and gents. So yeah, let's begin. But before we actually start, later tonight, I'm going to be making a new series. Yes, but it's not going to be the Azure Lane series yet. But I'm going to make a little series as an experiment in a way. Anyway, let's continue on with this episode, shall we, ladies and gents? So, we currently see our boy Izuku as he's currently walking through the school, as he's also preparing for the prom. Actually, it's kind of loud, my tab. Let me just lower it. There we go. Anyway, continue on, as we would currently see him going through the school as he's now carrying his tuxedo. While he was doing that, he would be approached by actually, frankly, a lot of girls thinking about it. The first one that would approach him was that of our ice cream, aka, Vaishni, as Weiss would say, "Hey, Izuku." As Izuku would say, "Oh, hey, Weiss, what do you?" As she would say, "Would you want to go on a date with me for the prom?" After hearing that, he would say, sure. I mean, why not? I mean, you're the only person that I kind of am comfortable with. But before he continue on, a person would basically block her way, or more specifically, Vice's way, as the person that would be in front of him was that of our favorite bunny girl, Velvet. As Velvet would say, hey, Izu, would you want to go on up to the prom?" As Izuku would say, Velvet? Sorry, but I'm currently with. But before I can continue on, another person would basically bump into her. Being that of our girl Neptune, or at least in this world's, Neptune in this case, as she would say, hey, Izuku, she would say, as Izuku would say, what the heck is going on? He would say, as you would see the two now in the wall, Weiss and Velvet, as she would say, Izuku, Neptune would say, as she would look towards him with her, violet eyes looking into his more, actually, what is his eye color? Into his somewhat green eyes, as she would say, would you want to want to be my partner for the prom? She would say, as Izuku would say, sorry, but I'm currently with, as before anything else, another person would bump into her, as Izuku would start seeing a pattern here. A few other girls would basically, come in, basically bumping into each other, as Weiss would basically come in and basically scream at them, saying that she's already going to be with Izuku. Let's just say the other girls are currently mad as they're basically fighting for his attention at this point. Makes sense considering that he's the son of a headmaster of Atlas. Or at least adopted, to say the least, but still. So, as while this was happening, Izuku started thinking to himself, what the hell is going on? As currently, our boy, Esterosa is going like, this guy is fucking dense. I'm not even joking. Anyway, as after saying that, Galan would just say, understatement of the fucking year, he would say. As after saying so, one of them would say specifically Garcinia, honestly, I don't really understand the human culture most of the time. But in this case, I think I understand, he would say to himself. As after saying that, we would go back to our boy Izuku. As while Izuku is basically, running away with Weiss, they would basically leap into a corner as they would basically, hide from the other girls. After that, Izuku would say this. Jesus Christ. Or shall I say, Christ. Or, Holy, Holy Actually, let's just ignore that. As after saying that, Weiss would say, yeah. As she would look towards Izuku, as Izuku would just look at her, as he would say, what's wrong? As she would say, you're just so handsome. Maybe it's probably the reason why they're always looking for you. She would say, as he would say this. As she would say this. Whatever. Just be prepared for the party tonight, she would say. As you'd say, yeah, you too. As after saying that, both of them would leave. But unbeknownst to them, somebody was watching them. So, after Izuku arrived back home, or at least at the dorm, he would be changing into his tuxedo. As after fully wearing it, he would notice behind him was that of Yang, Blake, and RWBY. As RWBY would say this. RWBY would say, wow, you look so nice, she would say. As after saying that, Izuku would say, thanks, RWBY. You look good yourself, he would say. As after saying so, she would say, oh, thanks, she would say with a little blush. As Yang would say to herself, I'm starting to feel some chemistry. Though, she would just look at Izuku as she would say, Mama does like that, she would say to herself. As she would come up to Izuku, as she would say, hey, Izu, she would say. As she would basically flaunt her, yeah, yellowish dress, which shows a lot of her, like, back and shoulders. As she would say, what do you think of this, she would say. As Izuku would start blushing a little bit, seeing that her really deep V-neck is basically showing a lot of, let's call it baggage. God damn it. As Izuku would say, yeah, you look fine, he would say, as he would have a deep blush on his face. As she would say, thanks. So, how about you, Blake? She would say, as Blake would say to herself, or at least say to her, no. Besides, I'm currently going on a date with Sun. As after saying that, Izuku would say, wait, you're going out with Sun? Huh. As after saying that, she would say, what is that supposed to mean? She would say, as Izuku would say, I never really thought of you being together. It's probably because of your personalities or something. After saying that, she would say, oh, as you would say, as Izuku would retract that, and say, oh, sorry, I didn't mean it like that, I swear. As she would say, no, it's fine. I guess that kind of makes sense. But after saying that, a person would basically knock on the door. As when Izuku heard that, he would say, coming. As after doing so, he would open the door and would see Weiss wearing a beautiful white dress, ornately, created to look like it has, snowflakes all around it. As it would be topped off with a beautiful white bow on her hair. As she would also be wearing some, beautiful glasses as well with that. As after Izuku saw it, he would say, wow, he would say, as he would be blushing. As she would say, so, what do you think? As you'd say, you're beautiful. After saying that, Weiss would blush a little, as she would say, thank you. Now, as she would basically grab onto his arm, as she would say, let's go, she would say, as both of them would start leaving to go to to the ballroom. After doing so, the girls nearby, specifically Yang and Ruby, would have a little bit of jealousy. Currently, Blake would just be prioritizing her date. Not really, considering she doesn't really care about Sunno that much. Well, ever since I watched season 9 or volume 9, I can't remember which volume was it, the most recent volume. It turns out, well, Bumble, whatever the fuck is that, the ship between, between Yang and also Blake, it's canon now. Well, anyway, continue on with this episode, baby. So, currently nearby, we would currently see a now completely, well, not really mutilated, but more like completely berserk-like version of Roman. As Roman earlier was contacted by a certain woman, as the woman would say this. So, Roman, what exactly happened to you? She would say, as Roman would be an angry baby at this point. Actually, no. He would essentially look like, or at least act like Shigaraki. More specifically, like Shigaraki during season 1, 2, and probably 3, and not in the recent chapters where he's like completely somewhat normal, and not well, a man-child essentially. As he would say this, that bastard, look at what he did to me, he would say, as after saying this, the woman would say this, I could always need some new experiments. Now, Arthur, I want you to try and augment him. Remember what I told you about the experiment with the chimera I asked for? As after saying this, the man named Arthur would say, yes, what is it, mistress? As after saying this, she would say, I want you to give him some new limbs in a way. As he would say this, wait, but it's not ready yet. As she would say, but it will be quite a waste leaving him like this. Arthur, I want you to do it immediately. Try not to cause him too much pain, considering the last experiment you did. As she would say this, very well, mistress. As after that, the call would end. Or at least, that's what was called. As a grim-like creature was broadcasting this woman's call, as the grim would basically fly away, resembling that of a jellyfish, as he would say this, specifically Roman. Soon, I'll get my revenge, you little brat! As after that, we would continue on, we would go back to our boy, Izuku. So, this is currently about the same time-ish as during the time between, what's that called? When Pyra basically confesses her feelings to our boy Jean. As Jean would not, somewhat accept it, considering that he was, a bit of an idiot at the time. As whilst this was happening, Izuku and our girl Weiss would basically start dancing. Nearby, most of the girls that he met during his time in Beacon are currently jealous as fuck. So yeah, well, except for Blake. For now. Anyway, so, as while Izuku was slow dancing with Weiss, we would currently see Cinder as she would fall out of the balcony and would move somewhere else. And so this is where we're gonna be ending off this episode, guys. So be ready for the new, or at least the first episode of my new series coming soon, aka later. So yeah, bye bye.